So I just wanted to share some thoughts. Um, Basically, well, I've recently been certified as a life coach. I'm currently studying counseling and NLP, and I had a. It's been quite an interesting week actually. In fact, it's been maybe about 8 days or so, 8 9 days or so, where it's been very interesting. Specifically at work because it's a really busy period that we're going through right now where literally like there's nobody in the office. People are all out seeing clients or in meetings and then going off to events, and like I work in the events industry. um like one of my colleague had four events, separate events that she, well, technically five, but I went and covered the other one for her. But she had four events to get through in one day. And these were like pretty much all day events, so she had to check in. But I got speaking to one of my colleagues. Now, this colleague, he's come from a satellite role into head office, and he had a few days off this week. Now he's good. Like he's very personable. He's very like smart. He's very savvy. He's good with building rapport and building relationships, all that kind of stuff. Um, he had he fell ill on Monday, um, and was back at work on the Tuesday, although he wasn't fully recovered, and then he still had more meetings and stuff to do again, although he wasn't fully recovered. In fact, he said that he was worse today than he was on Tuesday. So that kind of says something. But aside of the fact that yesterday was Mental Health Day, or was it International Mental Health Day? World Mental Health Day. Um, the whole kind of ideas about stress and how we manage stress and taking too much on and really pushing ourselves to the limit kind of came into play. And he's been back in the office today. His first day back at the office since Monday when he came in and ended up going home. um and I needed to go, like, basically I'm in a position where I have links with regards to what they do. So I work in new business, I generate business and then pass it on to the account managers. He's one of them. And I needed to sit down and have a meeting with him just to go through some leads and clients that I've passed over to him. Um, and he was explaining this one situation with me that occurred with one particular event that was particularly stressful. And it was stressful because it wasn't down to him. The client had come to him and like last minute, and they needed something specific. We were able to deliver that, but then when we actually turned up on site, it turned out that for some reason what the client had done was hired somebody, well, call them an agent, who then went and hired like a whole bunch of different people. And by the end of it, there were actually seven different companies involved in this one event. Like, if they'd have come to us, we could have done everything that they needed. However, we actually were recommended by this person who was acting as an agent. What then happened was they then fell out of the loop, deciding that they couldn't fulfill what was needed, but left, introduced them to all of the contacts. And so they were contacting like 5 6 different people just for this one event. So it got a bit hairy, and they managed to kind of patch things up. Now my colleague, he's very knowledgeable in terms of how to get things done if you might not necessarily have everything that you need, but how to at least make it decent or make it the best that it can be. he did that, and he really pushed himself, um, especially over the last, like, you know, over the last week, really. And we sat down and we went through some of the figures and leads and stuff. And then I don't know what kind of came over me. I just like sat back, like, and it was really weird because in my head I could see myself. I was like standing over behind his shoulder, watching myself, sort of leaning forward on the desk, making notes, and then sitting back and then looking at him and being like, "How you feeling? How's this week been for you?" And he literally just opened up, and he was saying that, you know, it's been really hard and he's been really stressed, and like it's been things that have been out of his control, but he's done the best that he can. And I kind of had to reaffirm that to him to ensure that, you know, okay, yes, it's been hard, but you've done the best that you can. And I could see in his face that he was reacting to that question, and I just kind of like followed him in this conversation, and we were just exploring different things. And then we kind of came down to it towards the end of the chat, and I kind of suggested a few things. Like I said to him, like, "Oh, have you like planned next week?" And this was about 4 o'clock, maybe. Yeah, probably about, yeah, quarter to 4, 4 o'clock. And he was like, "You know what? I'm so behind. I haven't even got to that yet." And I said, "Nah, I think that it's gonna be very handy for you to plan next week, even though you're behind. Like, whatever plans that you have, like, make sure that you plan next week, or have, you know, start off the week in a way where you know what you're doing, you know exactly what you're doing, because you've got a list of things to do, just to help you move along, help you get things back into motion, and help you catch up." And I said to him that I'm more than willing to help. If there's anyone that he needs me to contact, anything that he needs me to do, just let me know and I'll help you out with that. That's not a problem. But it was a really, really beautiful moment. And I really saw myself as like a counselor, or almost a life coach, but more a counseling role. But yeah, it just kind of like slightly freaked me out a little bit as I was speaking to him, and I was very conscious of this. Like, okay, this is a special kind of moment, because I can imagine that no doubt he hasn't really had a chance to really decompress. And I did say that to him, that this weekend, I don't know what you're doing, but are you doing stuff for you? Are you like gonna have an opportunity to relax, to just let things go, and not to think about work? you know, he plays rugby, so he's gonna be playing rugby tomorrow. He's actually gonna be coaching rugby to the newbies. But yeah, I don't know where I was kind of going with this, but it was just a reflection, and just something that I thought was actually quite beautiful, like really beautiful. Like the fact that it was two men having a conversation, and we were kind of sharing some of our experiences in the week. But when he began to, you know, really tell me and explain to me that he was quite stressed, I kind of reserved some of my like excitement, or real sort of pleasure that I've experienced in the week. And it's not to say that I capped myself in the situation. It was just, well, I think it was more of an appropriate response for me to not celebrate in someone's face when they're trying to process what's been taking place. And I think that it's important that we do that at appropriate times. And I think that it's also important that we ask people like how they're doing. If you can see that somebody's stressed, even if it's, at work, most people wouldn't really care about, the people around them at work. They're not really fussed. They're just there to clock in, do the hours, clock out, and go home and play PS3 or whatever. But me, I feel human. And that's a really weird thing to say. I feel human because I am human. But I think that in a deeper sense, like there's a recognition that takes place within the self and an acknowledgement of others, a recognition in other people when we observe the fact that they are human, and we see that reflected back in ourselves. And it was actually a great opportunity for me to check in with myself and really make sure that I'm actually okay, because I've had a good week. It's been a very productive week. It's been a very interesting week where I've learned quite a lot, and I've had to call it improvise. Some people might call it bullshit, but I didn't bullshit because I did what was needed to be done, even though I didn't know at the time of agreeing to do what needed to be done that I'd be able to do it. I went and did what was necessary to find out how to do what needed to be done. And I hope that makes sense. But yeah, it was just a beautiful moment, and I just thought that I'd share that because I feel like it's important that we ask each other how we are, like, not just your regular how are you, hey, like actually sitting down. And this meeting took place in one of our smaller meeting rooms, so it was just me and him in there, sheet of paper, pens, and we were just sitting in the chairs just having a chat. And I think that he needed that. And I feel like sometimes when people need things, if you're able to offer what is needed, like, do it. Don't be hesitant. Don't be withdrawn. If you can give to that person, give with absolutely no recourse, I think is the word. But give with no motive of wanting to get back is basically what I'm saying. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'm just going to say, go and be awesome, be beautiful, be loving, be caring, be amazing, be you, be human. Thank you. Mwah!